evening, everyone. Namaste and very good evening to everyone here. I'm Akshaya, aspiring image consultant and soft skills trainer, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all to the Leaders Connect 360 Foundation episode 268. Leaders Connect 360 Foundation is a
I can't
non-profit
seem to
organization.
hear anybody.
Sorry, Miss Aarti. Aarti, you were
I
saying
think she's
something.
not able to hear anyone.
It says you're on mute.
Yeah, she's joined from different one more device, so that's the reason it says mute. That's okay. Thanks, Miss Aarti. Yeah, please go ahead now.
Am I audible, Arul?
Yeah, audible. I mean, Aarti,
Can't hear you.
am I audible, Miss Aarti?
Yeah,
Arul?
yes. Akshay is audible. Aarti is also audible, and so you are, Arul.
Yeah.
But somewhere I
And
believe
Aarti
Miss
is
Aarti
having
is
some
facing
feedback.
challenge to hear us.
Fantastic.
Hello, I can hear all of
Ma'am,
you.
am I audible now?
Yeah, you are audible, Akshay. So for Aarti, it's a challenge, I believe. She's
For a
facing
while, I
challenge.
could hear the introduction
Ma'am, you're
music,
not
but even
audible.
after that, no.
We can't hear you.
Okay. I shall check in the back end.
I'm going to turn my video off and see if there's something here that I need to
Yes.
check. Give me a minute.
Yeah, sure. Okay, Akshay, you can proceed.
Dhruv, I can't hear anybody.
You proceed, Akshay.
Okay. Leaders Connect 360 Foundation is a non-profit organization aligned with the UN Sustainable Development Goals, with a vision to create a million leaders. Every Wednesday, we connect with inspiring leaders to learn, network, support, and grow because we believe leaders create more leaders. A quick reminder before we begin, please keep your videos on for an engaging session. If you are joining us for the first time, do check the WhatsApp, Facebook, and LinkedIn links in the chat. Today's session is being recorded. Now, if you're excited for today's session, drop a thumbs up or a smiley in the chat. Thank you for that. Wonderful, and it's my privilege to introduce our guest speaker, Ms. Aarti Ananta Padmanabhan, founder and chief mentor, Evolve, who will be speaking on insights from the book The Intent Trap. Joining her is our moderator, Mr. Pankaj Vyas, managing partner at Bija Training, along with our panel discussion leader, Mr. Kalishwaran Tangavel, aspiring leadership trainer. Without further delay, over to you, Mr. Pankaj.
Thank you so much, Akshaya. Good evening, everyone. I welcome you all on behalf of BJ Training, the Mass Leadership and Leaders Connect. And yes, it's a special episode which we do every last week, Wednesday, every month, which is the author of the month. And today we have the privilege to have Miss Aarti with us. And yes, we are going to have some learning from her book that is called The Intent Trap. So before we move forward, I would like to officially welcome each one of you along with our panel discussion leader and our guest through a mode of a welcome video. So Arul, can we have welcome video for our guest and our panel discussion leader, please? Over to you, Kali. You there? Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm audible.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Once again, happy evening to all. I'm really glad to lead this discussion. Okay, don't waste the time. I will get into to integrate our honorable guest, Miss Aarti Anand Padmanabhan. Hi, ma'am.
Hi, and no need for a ma'am. Thank you. I know my
Okay.
name is long,
Thank
so
you. It's not a long. It shows your intent actually. Basically, they said don't judge a book by its cover, but in your cases, your book is intent on your cover pages. This is look very fascinating,
thank
and
you.
as well as the fascinating title. It's called intent trap. Actually, nowadays Gen Z kids are a lot more use the word which is called intent. So that I'm starting with the title. What is exactly the intent trap, and why do you believe almost every one of us fall into it?
Okay, so over the years, this is about 30 years of my work and my experience. So, over 30 years, I'm also a psychologist and a counselor, apart from being a leadership coach. The one thing I noticed with most people when they come in for coaching or counseling or they are referred by someone, first is they are clueless as to why they were referred. It's almost like when we were school kids, you will get one slip to go to principal's office and you won't know why the teacher sent you, right? And your intent would be, I'll raised my hand to go to the restroom and the teacher said I can continuously disturb her. The impact is something else. It is quite similar in the corporate world, I noticed. Over the last few years, unless a person comes on their own, right, they choose coaching. So even at that point in time, they are not very aware of themselves. They come because they believe that they already have it in them to be a better leader, and somebody external is stopping them from being a leader. The self-awareness that I could get better is very low actually in a lot of people. So when I talk to them about what is the actual intent for why you are doing something, they have no idea. It'll be, I want to do this because I want a promotion, or I want this. It's the next step that they can think of, but they cannot think of the impact that they want to create. Okay. And the distance between this intent and impact is seen even in corporates today, when we have started hiring people for external skills. Do you know project management? Do you know this particular language? Do you know this? Do you know that? What we have missed, and what I was bringing in most of the corporates I was consulting and working in, is hiring people for being a culture add, not a culture fit. No more it is enough to be a fit. What are you bringing to the table that is different from what the company has? Now, if the company's intent is to grow by this much in terms of numbers, or it is to build a people friendly workplace. See, everybody has their core values, everybody has their value system, mission, vision, and all of that. Now, imagine if you are a people centric organization, you put people first. All your leaders are servant leaders, and everybody is fantastic in what they do. And you start hiring guys who are number crushers, who push people to get work done. How do you think this is going to match? Your intent was to hire the best, qualified on paper,
Yes.
but impact is just the opposite. Some of the companies I consulted in where I saw this gap, attrition was 35%. 35%. And you know the biggest group that left? The 0 to 2 years. They walked away because they had the worst mentor or leader ever. So their first experience of a boss or a leader or a manager, or whichever term you want to use, was, Ayo, please leave me alone. Okay. Now, where did this come? So when I started talking to people, this is 30 years. It started off as a thought because I don't think I liked my first boss. So it started off as a thought. And I realized nobody intends to create something wrong. Between intent and the impact you create, there is something called behavior. And that behavior is determined by who you are inside. It's your core values. So the intent trap came because I figured that everybody was at heart a leader or where they are because they're good at what they do. But their impact is completely different to their intention because they don't tune what is in between intent and impact. That's the intent trap, right? You fall into the intent trap. Imagine this, okay, Kalishwaran. So you're an aspiring trainer. So I will use you as an example. Imagine you walked into a training and you had a lot of, so you had a lot of leaders in the training and you think you did a fantastic job. You leave the room saying, wow, I cracked it today. Everybody clapped. Everybody gave fantastic feedback. Then you're going to the corner and you're texting someone saying, hey, it went off very well. And you hear a group of people saying, I don't know what he was saying. I'm not able to connect at all. He never started with saying this. And you are saying, oh my God, I thought it went very well. So it's never about what we think or what we intend. It's always about the other group, what they experience and what your impact has been. And that is what intent trap attempts to do. We connect you back to your inner self, your core values. We talk about leading. So there are a lot of these books, right? Authentic North, The True North, all of that. The True North is a fantastic book which tells you to turn towards yourself as your moral values, as your compass. Now, I talk about it at a different angle. Yuval also was born like that. The expansion of Yuval is you evolve. Everything you need is within you, so you evolve. So the same concept, everything to be the perfect leader is within you. It is your core values. When you lead from your core values, you have conscious behavior and you have coherent impact. And that's what the intent trap is about.
Quite a powerful and connected explanation, Sarthi. Actually, taking
Thank you.
example and connecting nostalgia from childhood to the present training model is quite remarkable, actually.
Yeah, I was the one in the
You
principal's
mentioned
office the
studying,
most, man.
not only you, na, all of the students always experienced in at least once in a lifetime.
True, true.
Okay. You mentioned the studying behavior after more than 3 decades. What is the one behavior which is surprising from the human side still?
Lack of awareness or their self-awareness. It surprises me many times. It's absolutely baffling for a leader to not know what he has said or what his decision, what impact his decisions have made, or what he has actually done to an entire room. Okay? They are clueless. So I coach the C-suite, right? I coach the CEOs, CXOs, founders. And you would think at that level, the gravitas they hold, the strategic presence they have, I'm sure they know everything. But at many times, awareness is very poor. They truly, truly believe the best, but they never stop to check if that's how that person is. See, once this this call is over too, if I called you and asked you how is it, you'll probably say, ma'am, it was very good. But you know where it is actually good? If the people who are listening are actually experiencing the impact I want to create, only then my intent trap left LHS equals RHS. My theory is proved, right? Otherwise, this lack of self-awareness is where I'm surprised. In fact, that is why my navigator coaching model, which you had introduced in before, thank you, that is a model which has gone in for patent and copyright. It actually measures a person's awareness levels and their behavior levels. And the reason we do this is, I'll give a very simple analogy. Let's say you are in Chennai and you are in Mylapore, and you want to go to T Nagar, right? You have no clue how many steps it is, you're new to Chennai, you don't know if you should take a train, you should take a bus, you should walk, is an auto enough, nothing. Without knowing the starting point and the actual distance you have to traverse, you will never make it to your destination. So that gap is what we are trying to bridge through this. That gap comes because you are not aware that you are actually standing in one place. You're not a 5-on-5. Every time we ask leaders to score themselves on a scale of 5, they give themselves 5-on-5. Boss, if you're that good, where is the scope to learn? So I think it's self-awareness.
That curious actually. Very well said, ma'am. First of all, you choose awareness. I bit surprised, but you address the things. It's going to be very curious only and thinkable. The leaders should be aware themselves into enter any sessions they were going to conduct. Okay. In the observers, you already said what is the one when you get a chance to observe a leader for a day, what you expect or paying attention to the one behavior, you think that behavior maybe tell all the things which you need to know.
Okay, so you're asking me, when I observe a leader, if I get a chance, what is it that I would observe about
Yeah.
what behavior?
Yeah, one thing, which is maybe tell all the thing which you expect from the person.
But the one major thing. I would want to see them when things don't go their way, when they are under pressure, or when things are going wrong, when the ship is sinking. Okay? Because I keep asking all the leaders only one question. If you are here yelling and screaming at everybody, or not able to handle the pressure, who's steering the ship? Who's got the vision? So you know a lot about a leader when you see how he handles things when it goes wrong. Okay, how does he treat his people? Is he taking a lot of responsibility and accountability? So there is this terminology called playing above the line. Have you heard of it? So I'll walk you through.
Sorry,
there's a terminology called playing above the line. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, once in my college days, one of my English ma'am used that.
Oh my
Actually.
God, I am really very, very old if this was used when you were in college. Okay, nevertheless, I'm not going to answer that. But so playing above the line is, there are two concepts, right? When leaders play above the line, you will notice they are very outcome or impact focused, right? Sometimes when leaders complain, I don't have any time during the whole day. Everything is so packed. My God, I don't have time to even answer a call. How do you people get time to even go home at 6 o'clock? You take your bag and you hang it at 6 and people will look at you like you've created a crime. How can you leave at 6? Boss, I got my work done. I am going at 6. But people who fill their day with tasks without worrying about the outcome or the impact, they are playing below the line. Okay? Because they do not understand what impact they are creating or the outcome they want. Those who play above the line are always looking at the end goal or end destination. Therefore, you will find ownership, accountability, and responsibility. Those who play below the line, blame, excuses, denial. So, when you look at this whole thing, I will want to see that behavior of a leader, when things go wrong, is he stepping up? Is he actually doing well under pressure? That's why one of my favorite leaders is Mr. Abdul Kalam, right? He's one person I think we could all learn from. Anything goes well, the team comes front. Things go bad, he comes front. What a man, what a leader. So I believe that tells you a lot about a leader when he is under pressure. Not a boardroom, not a town hall, not an offsite, not a regular meeting. All of this he's prepared. Okay, his team would have told him, so and so is going to ask you this, so and so is going to ask you that. He's prepared. Wait till pressure comes.
Very admirable, ma'am. Actually, this is for one question. You straight to the without hesitation. The trainer under the pressure when the plans doesn't go in their way. And the perfect example you quoted as Mr. APJ Abdul Kalam is a perfect. And followed by, I would like to ask you, you found that you already mentioned the word you evolve. Okay, you found you evolve and developed the EPICS leadership framework. What made you feel that would world need another leadership approach?
Okay.
What was missing?
Okay, one tough question. Okay. So when I wanted to do my PhD, the first thing my mentor asked me is, do you have something different to tell the world? Please don't do a PhD just because you want to get a doctorate. Don't do it. And that was the first time I started thinking, does the world need more of these leadership books or self-help books or, those kind of things? But what I realized is what I am talking about is not just a framework or a leadership book. Nobody is teaching anybody to be a better leader in my book. We are teaching you to be the leader you already are. We are just connecting you back to your roots. Because I think the pressure from outside changes us. We wear multiple hats in a day: production hat, quality hat, safety hat, PR hat, employee experience hat, culture hat, 100 hats in a day. When somebody wears so many hats, who are you truly? So that is where I think the entire context came for me when I started talking about this particular aspect. So that is where Yuval came, because I realized that people I started coaching and counseling were getting better. So there's something called a gravitas, or the strategic presence that a person has, right? I could see that in people. I could see that bloom. The second thing is EPICS. EPICS is my proprietary framework. It talks about 6 core values that I think all leaders should have today to navigate the Bani world. So today we are no more in a VUCA world, right? We're in a Bani world. That's brittle, anxious, non-linear, and incomprehensible. So no more do you know, if I do A, B will happen. If I do C, D will happen. I have no clue what is going to happen, right? So for a leader to navigate this world, after with all the leaders I have worked with, 30 years I've been watching people, and I know what is good and I know what they were not good in. And 6 things which I noticed was emotional agility. So remember I was telling you about the leader under pressure? Emotional agility. Are you able to understand that you are at a leader's position? You are expected to take that level of pressure. You do not pass it on directly. You absorb it and pass on the message. So emotional agility. Then you have purpose. I'm a true believer of the purpose, the what and why of anything. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? If I have understood this, I will be a fantastic leader. I will be hands-on, your participative decision making, buy-in, whatever terminology you want to use. Tell me what and why. Then comes E, which is excellence, which I think all of us will believe, right? This book took me more than a year. I am my worst critic. At one point, my publisher begged me and said, Madam, this is not a 5-year project. Just let's get it out. Every time I went back and reviewed my book, I kept changing it. Okay, I looked at it from a different lens. Would a leader like this? Oh God, can a Gen Z connect to it? Will a budding leader connect to it? So that way I kept changing it. So E is excellence. In whatever you do your best. A is adaptability. I find most leaders I coach today, the prime reason they are in coaching is poor adaptability. They are not able to manage. The asks of the world, the asks of the organization, the asks of the workforce, not happening. So adaptability. And the most important value for me is the K, keystone leadership. Who is that one guy who stands in the center, integrating every single person? Who is that? That is your keystone leader. So last is the X factor in epics. X factor is something that I understand when I start coaching people. Okay, this guy's really good at this. This guy's good at this. So that's your X factor. Did you know that's your X factor? So epics grew from coaching people. Yuval grew from my own understanding that I could be a good coach. Whatever I needed was within me. I don't need to be a safety expert to coach a safety professional. I just have to ask them challenging questions that get them to be a better leader and connect with themselves.
Is that very involvement? Involvement, you said its involvement of trainer and trainee is quite remarkable. Actually, the framework actually fascinating. I want to ask another question. Let's imagine every listener would ask the people around them. Every listener would ask the people around them one brutally honest question about themselves, and they were guaranteed and honest answer. What questions should they ask?
So now you're getting me into trouble. Now I have to ask this question. Now others will know what they feel. Nala mati udringa. Okay. I believe in one thing. Leaders, okay, and I say this in every coaching. So let me ask you this. Ashoka planted trees. When till today,
yes,
we are talking about Ashoka planting trees. After that, every single Rotary Club has planted trees. Every single Lions Club has planted trees. Do we talk about it? Still,
vaguely.
Ashoka. Yeah, we cut the trees. Absolutely right, Giri. Oh my God, you're absolutely right. Okay, but jokes apart,
Giri got the point.
Giri got the point. Giri actually cut to the point. Anyway, but the point I'm trying to make here is leaders are no more thinking about the legacy they want to create. They just want to be in a role, finish that role well. You know, what is my KPI? What is my KRA? The same question only. What should I do? Tell me clearly. Is it with my JD? What am I doing? They are only interested in KPIs and KRAs. Nobody is interested in the legacy or the impact that they are leaving. Now, imagine, now I'm speaking to you. Afterwards, I call you, Kalishwaran, and I say, when you were talking to me, what did you experience or how did you feel? Okay? That is a question. Yeah. Your body language will tell me. If you're cheerful and you say, ma'am, it was really nice. I was loving to talk to you. You were quite a brat. You were saying all these things. Now I know, okay, you've enjoyed it. Suppose you say things like, it was good. I think or I think all the listeners enjoyed it. If you say, I think the listeners enjoyed it, I hit my marker in a wrong way. Right? How do you make other people feel? When you leave the room, how do other people talk about you? When you enter a room, what do people see you as? So the question I think every listener should ask is, when you see me or interact with me, how do you experience me? Because that is all about your behavior. Okay, you of late you must have been watching all of these. I can't remember the names right now, but so many of these stand-up comedians are getting into trouble because of the poor comments that they are passing, or the people in the audience are passing, right? In fact, there was a medical student who actually passed a very poor comment about the cadavers in her college. She was actually suspended from the college. When asked about why she would talk like this in an open arena, in an open forum, the answer she gave was, "That is not my intention." Nobody cares about your intention. We only care about the impact.
Absolutely.
That's all. You may be the best thinking person, but you made me feel so small and horrible. How does it matter to me if you're a Six Sigma lean belt, got 15 awards from the US, you are the most fantastic leader the world says? You make me feel this small. You treat me so poorly. To me, you're not a leader. So the question I think you should ask, and this also goes for personal life, huh? If you could turn around and ask people at your home, how do I make you feel? Do I make you feel heard? Do I make you feel important? Do I give you that kind of importance, quality time? You will know whether you've left your impact or not. If you're strong enough to ask that question, now, if you already have a fight at home, don't ask the question. Wait, solve the fight and then ask the question. But if not, you'll get into trouble and then I am not responsible. So please solve all your issues at home. First, get that sorted and then ask the question. It helps you understand how other people actually see you. Because the most important thing is not how you love someone, how I hear leaders saying, but I just love the millennials and Gen Zs. I think they have a lot of potential. I want them to do well. Yet, the first time a millennial comes and swipes at 10:06, I'll get one email. You need to have a talk with him about the culture of our organization. You have to come at 9:30. Why? If you love the millennial, love the work he does, no? So I think there's a lot of
Yes.
gap. So you're a millennial, is it, Kalishwaran? You're very happy?
Yeah. So I'm very happy because I am the one we have seen the elder technology and as well as the future technology now built in the present technology. And I just found out your disclaimer. How do I feel? Going to ask the question before I solve the problem, then I'm going to ask you the question definitely.
Absolutely.
Okay, ma'am.
Giri, that's a perfect
When
thing.
you, yeah, please.
One sec, Kalishwaran. Giri, so what I do in coaching is actually habits. So Giri caught it on. When we actually coach people for a behavior, we actually coach them for, we coach core values. From the core values, we derive behaviors. We coach them for habits and actions and words and behaviors they can show and demonstrate, by which other people can understand that this guy is showing the core value. So I like Giri, man. He's super sharp. Lovely.
Extraordinary, Giri. You got a prize from the prizes, ma'am. Ma'am, for so like a Giri or other people, where can people find it? Like Giri, Anuma, others.
Okay, so you kind of make it look like I'm very lost, but I would love to continue this conversation with any of you. You can see if you wake me up at 1 o'clock in the morning, I will start talking about this. I'm very passionate about this. And same energy minus makeup, 1 o'clock in the morning, I'll be talking to you. So you can find me on LinkedIn with Aarti Ananta Padmanabhan. Please connect with me. We can start conversations. You want to, get into my coaching, get into my counseling. I do that over weekends. I catch up with people whenever. But yes, I think we should connect if we're on the call. We should be able to continue this conversation. Just like I was listening to Giri now and I could connect with him. There are going to be so many people here who I can connect with. I'd love to hear all of you. LinkedIn, Aarti Ananta Padmanabhan. You can look for me and a behavioral scientist, and you'll find me. And from there, we'll connect and take it forward.
Thank you. I'm not intent to continue. Actually, Giri and others want to talk with you, so I just stopping here and hand it over to Mr. Pankaj. Thank you, ma'am. I'm really glad to talking with you.
Thank you, Kalishwaran, and all
Yes,
the
Mr.
best.
Pankaj, I'm handing over to you.
They said you're an aspiring leadership trainer,
Yeah.
Kalishwaran. All the very best, and I hope you keep doing well.
Thank you so much,
Thank you, ma'am.
Kali,
Thank
for taking a wonderful panel discussion. And yes, the kind of energy and the conviction which is seen, and shared by Ms. Aarti is something, which is, you need to see it to believe it. That is what I can say. And the
You need
kind
to
of
experience it, Pankaj.
Yes, sir. And I really like that, that even at 1 o'clock in the night, you call me and I'm ready to talk about it. That's the passion he talks about. And that is where this word intent, I can relate to. So thank you so much for bringing in and sharing it with us. And I really understand with what kind of passion you would have written this, book. So we would like you to be a part of this community, be there with us wherever possible. Please support us and, please spread this, the power of intent to the people as we are also working on creating more and more leaders. Thank you so much, Aarti ji.
Thank you
So
for
now we
having
open the
me
floor.
on.
Thank you so much. So we open the forum for quick 2-3 questions. So if somebody has any question to talk about, so you will have more chance to talk about it further, right? So Arul, let's see if there are any questions to be asked to our guest. Please help them to unmute, and if not, then we can move forward.
Yeah, we have Miss Kala. Yes.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, very good evening to all of you. It's absolute pleasure, Ms. Aarti. Wonderful session. And
Thank you, Kala.
yes, brilliant. Your energy was too good. I could
You
see
are
myself
matching
in
me
you.
with that big smile and energy too, woman. High five.
I could get the energy. I could get the energy. Yeah, and Ms. Aarti, I have a question for you.
Please.
And what is one message that you hope every reader remembers after finishing your book?
Tough one, okay, because I have a lot, but I'll tell you what is one thing that I expect people to understand. When you read every chapter, so mine is a storytelling. This book it starts with a Gurukul story. So I take you through like an analogy, okay? So I take you to the yesteryears, and there is a guru and he has a lot of sishyas and how they experience issues right then. From there, I take you through the book. The one thing which I want to leave you with after reading the book is an understanding of yourself, a better self awareness. I keep coming back to that. The reason being, the intent trap is all about poor understanding of self. So, my only thing, if you look at the cover of my book, there is a golden orb. This was designed by me. I went mad because I only wanted this. There is an orb which is, emanating stuff outside. So that's your core. What emanates is your behavior. Once you understand what your core values are, once you understand who you truly are, your behavior is going to be fantastic. So I want to leave you with understanding. If I've spoken about 10 behaviors in the book, which are crucial for leaders, I want to leave you asking yourself how you stand in each of these behaviors, which I think are crucial.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Ms. Aarti.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kala. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Arul, I believe we have Ms. Akshaya to ask a question, right? So, Akshaya, please unmute yourself and ask.
Good evening, everyone. Ma'am, that was a wonderful session. That was very energetic and wow. I was like, wow, what a session.
Thank you.
So thanks for that. Very energetic. I can get most of your inputs, ma'am. Very nice. My question to, I don't know whether it's the right question or not, but
Every
I'll ask you,
question
ma'am.
is a right
How
question,
should-
yeah.
But I don't know, ma'am. I'll just ask the question. How should leadership styles evolve to effectively lead Gen Z?
See, is there any one style that works? I don't think so. I think you need to be adaptable. In today's world, I think there are two things out of this entire epics itself. There are two things I think which will stand out more. One is keystone leadership. Again and again, I will tell you. In fact, this book has 5 fireside chats. I have interviewed Mr. C.K. Ranganathan of Kavin Care, then Mr. Mahesh Alanthat from Motorola, Jakarta. I have Ms. Nandita from Melbourne, Australia. She runs 3 businesses. Then I have 2 more leaders from Chennai, Mr. Balamurugan and Dr. Sudhakar. One thing which I noticed in all of them, they all work with young crowd, right? Keystone leaders. They are all the ones who stand like a system integrator. So in a team, you will have different, you'll have Gen Zs, millennials, you'll have people my age, you'll have people, much older, etc. How are you going to hold everybody together? So I cannot say one style will work, right? My ex-boss was a servant leader, very people-oriented, okay? I could connect to them because I'm a people person. By IT leaders and other people were finding it very irritating. Why does he worry about my feelings and my emotions when I am not bothered about it? So I think you need to be adaptable.
So being too empathetic is also a problem, ma'am.
I think, in that Tamil there's a saying, right? An overdose of even nectar becomes poison. I think you should know how much to give, when to give, and most importantly, today's leadership, Gen Zs, I don't know if they need it. Wait for them to ask. They're quite vocal. Okay, they will ask you. See, the thing you need to understand about Gen Zs, and you asked about leadership, is do you know of Maslow's hierarchy?
Yes.
Motivation. So there are 5 levels that Maslow talks about. So the first one is food, clothing, and shelter. Then you come to safety, security. Then you have affiliation. Then self-esteem, self-actualization. When I started working, I took care of myself. So I went from food, clothing, shelter, all of that. My needs went level by level. Do you think Gen Z start there today? They come straight at self-esteem. Because we parents give them the first 3 levels. They don't need to worry about food, clothing, shelter. They don't need to worry about safety, security, love, affiliation, belonging. They have too many groups. Okay. So they come straight at self-esteem. Therefore, leaders have to be very mindful about how they actually talk to them. Giri, today, 100 on 100, 500 on 500, Giri, you are. I don't know how much to give you points. Please take it. Full star only for you. He's talking about immediate gratification. Very true. They come at self-esteem. You hurt my ego. You speak to me badly. You do not value what I bring to the table. I don't need you. You need me. So that's the difference between leadership then and now leading the Gen Zs. You have to understand their needs.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Most welcome.
Okay, great. Arul, is there any other question? If yes,
Can proceed
then
further.
let's see. Not, then I would like to invite our word of thanks leader, Rihanna. And even before that, anybody wants to have any closing remarks, or even Aarti madam want to say anything in closing, please feel free to. Yes, Rihanna.
I had a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for having me on. There is no greater joy than seeing or, talking about your own children. To me, this is my child, my first child in another way, my first
Right.
book. So therefore, the joy I got from speaking about this is immeasurable. So thank you very much for having me, team.
Thank you so much, Aarti. And really, let me share the kind of energy you have shared. Really, that makes you think that that there is energy within. All we need to do is we need to bring it out. Everybody has that
Evolve.
energy. Yes. Thank you so much for giving that thought to us. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, over to you, Rihanna.